The spring game is next Friday night at Williams-Brice Stadium. If you're going to be there, you'll have a chance to check out 2001, as you just saw in that bumper. Welcome back, Big John, the Golden Tones, and myself, JB. A quick reminder, tonight at 6:30, you've got Carolina baseball as they look to get off the mat against USC Upstate, and the coverage begins at 6:15 over the airwaves with Derek Scott and Stuart Lake at Founders Park.
I just hired a new sideline reporter. It's the woman from the Resto Pros commercial.
Oh, yeah.
So whenever something goes bad for Carolina, she just pops on her sideline microphone and says, "Ain't nobody got time for that."
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I think that'll be a good asset moving forward.
That'd be fun. Good luck to her. She's going to need a lot of alcohol. All right. So, John, you got a chance to get your eyes on the Gamecocks this weekend. Of what you can say, what did you see?
Saw a bunch of good things. I will say this: the defense is looking strong again. Now
You said this last year at this point in time. Nobody wanted to believe you, but I think they believed you about 4 or 5 games into the year.
Yeah. So the first drive, the ones went versus the ones. Lenore's moved the ball down the field on those guys on the number one defense, but the defense was able to hold those guys to a field goal. Which, if I remember, I think the ones only got maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 drives the whole scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
I think they ran probably about 75 snaps. Typical game snaps, but they were rotating in a bunch of guys. So, Lenore's got to play. Nolan played. Doty even got back there a little bit. So all 5 quarterbacks, if you count Doty a quarterback, got in and played. So they were rotating in a bunch of guys. But first team O looked good. They did look good. Obviously, Case and Henry did not participate in the scrimmage, which I think everybody knows. I think they reported on that. But I don't know. I saw a lot of good things, a lot to be excited about. Standout, obviously Dylan Stewart, he wreaks havoc on everybody. So nothing new there. And then Dendy, our new D tackle in from Texas A&M, caught my eye more than anybody. He just popped out. He was very disruptive during the scrimmage on the plays he was in. So and then the offense didn't score a touchdown versus the defense the entire scrimmage until the ones did score a touchdown on the goal line versus the number one D. But other than that was about it. It was a lot of field goals but I mean, overall, the defense looks strong, and the defense is always going to be ahead of the offense. I mean, it's what it is.
That's what I was going to ask you. If you could speak on that a little bit. I know JC has battled some of that with the website recently, at least some of what I've seen. And, people, they just want them to be good, so they get a little bit worried about the offense and things of that nature. But it's pretty normal. I don't want to say normal. But it's generally a better sign, right? If right now, and again, when you open in fall camp, if the defense is ahead of the offense, is that the case?
It's typically always the case. And the defense has been, these guys have been going together, going against each other, 3 days a week now. Yeah. So the defense they know tendencies, formations, kind of what the offense is going to do. So it's easier for them to pick up. But, that's good for the offense, though, because all right, these guys probably know some of the stuff we're doing, and if we can, move the ball against when they know what we're doing, that's a good thing. Yeah. So that's why your defense is always ahead of the offense early in the year. You don't want your defense getting burnt all off season by the offense. That usually means the defense, you have to worry about it.
Yeah, I think back. Mike could probably help out with some of this, and the fact that he, has had to cover everything, not just here at South Carolina, but I think back over the years at some of the special offenses that have come through this league from places like LSU and Alabama and Georgia, and generally you hear very similar things coming out of camp with them. Well, our and I'm not saying that. Their defenses are usually pretty good too, clearly. But we also have seen years where Alabama's offense has been lightning, and LSU's and Georgia's. They can go out there and score a bunch of points, and they generally always have the same feel. Well, our defense right now is they're doing a job on our offense. So it's not exclusive. It's South Carolina. This happens to the best programs in the country.
I mean, it happened last year in the preseason, but go ahead, Mike. You can.
Well, no, I mean, you just same thing that you talked about. Defense, especially in a vanilla type of scrimmage, is a lot more read and react. Offense, you got guys still trying to figure out what the plays are. You got
3 new starters in the middle.
Right. So I mean, it's supposed to be a little shaky in the month of April. That's what April's for. It's a spring ball, and that's what August is for, to make sure you get all that cleaned up.
Practice. I said something a few weeks ago. I'm not going to retract it, but as the summer goes along, I'm going to have to evaluate this a little bit, John, because we're going to get into the summer months here soon, and we're going to have to figure this thing out. This old sports radio thing. I thought going into last season, we had a lot of conversations about this, if y'all remember, that the defense is going to need to carry the offense until they can get things figured out. And that was the case. I mean, they needed to carry the offense, and then the offense started getting things clicking, and it was 6-game winning streak all of a sudden. Of course, defense played pretty good through that streak too, and it obviously capped off in the upstate. But one of the things that we talked about a few weeks ago here was that I thought this year might be a little bit of a role reversal. I thought maybe the offense might need to carry the defense. I don't know. We're going to have to probably keep an eye on this thing. That defense might be just fine, right, John?
Yeah, I think the defense is going to be fine. I mean, we're early, right? So we'll find out more once we get to fall camp. But they did look really good, and I think our cornerback situation has a chance to be even better this year than it was last year. So I don't know. It's exciting, and the offense is going to be just fine. I mean, you got a guy behind center who has a year under his belt. He looked good out there last week. He did have Dylan in his face a little bit, but
he's going to be in really everyone's face.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Dylan is a freak. I mean, mark this down. Dylan Stewart, all right, has the chance to leave a Clowney legacy if he's, you know how this transfer stuff works. But everything I've heard, Dylan loves it here. I don't think we have to worry about that with him, but you never say never. But with this year coming up, I think he's got a chance to put a stamp on, his young career. Kind of similar. I mean, his numbers are very similar to Clowney's first year.
Yeah.
And then if he can carry on and have some Clowney-esque numbers this coming year, and then because we're not going to get him 4 years. He's a three and done. He's a first-round draft pick. So his junior year, he comes back out and has a hell of a season. I mean, he's got a chance to make a Clowney-type legacy for himself at South Carolina to go down as one of the greats.
How about the guys on the other side, the other ends?
Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. I thought
that's the main one. That's what made that D-line so special last year. You couldn't key on either one because Kennard was a menace.
I think Thomas can. Here's what I think we need. We need Stewart to have that big season, and we need Thomas to fill that other role like Dylan did last year. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I think we have that, and I think we got really good depth, guys. I know a lot of people are worried about the D tackle position, but from what I saw, I think we're going to be fine. I think we're going to be fine.
Less worried than you were. This is very similar to the mid 2000s JUCO baseball. I remember when Coach Tanner used to say something all the time that it was very simple, and it worked. We don't rebuild, we reload. And he said it every year. And they went to the JUCO ranks and they go find a bunch of dudes, and there they were. I think that this transfer portal in college basketball, obviously, as we talked about earlier, it can be that way. Of course, it can also hurt you. But in college football, you can reload. And, does that mean that you're going to be a national championship contender? I don't know that I'd go as far as to say that. But it sure as hell doesn't mean that you got to rebuild for 2 and 3 years at a time. And I think maybe that's where things are based on what I've heard. I don't know if I'm projecting them to go out and win 9 or 10 games, John, but you've got a better chance to do it if you continue to reload each year. And it sounds like Carolina did a pretty good job of doing that again.
Yeah, I think Coach Beamer and the staff did an excellent job in the portal during December. I think they got some key guys that we needed to bring in to replace some guys. I thought all the linebackers looked really, really good during the scrimmage.
Athletic, right?
Yeah, very athletic, can run side to side. So, that Demetrius Knight speed that he had where he could chase people down and was getting tackles for loss. I think these guys have that same kind of speed and side to side that you want in an SEC linebacker. So it was very encouraging. Obviously, this is all fresh. A lot of these guys are new. First scrimmage, we saw a small sample size. Like I said, there wasn't a whole lot of reps. They tried to spread it out to the second, third team too, just so you could see live game action from the guys behind those hopeful starters to see what they could do as well. So,
I'm sorry, I was just going to ask you a question. So, it sounds to me, and you were spot on last year, watching at this time of the year that defense. You feel just as good about what you see in 2025 as you did in 2024. Okay, and you got a quarterback that's now a second-year starter in Lenoris. So why can't the expectation be at least 9-10 wins this year?
I think it most definitely is. I think it's inside that building. I think they're expecting them, to make playoffs. I think that's their expectation, like realistic expectation. And with the quarterback, the guy you got at quarterback, that makes a big difference.
Sure.
And I think you're going to see this offense improve this year. I really think you are. I think you're going to see receiver play a lot better. I think the combination of running backs we have is probably as deep as it's been in a while. I think last year it was rocket, rocket, rocket. I think this coming season you're going to see more guys playing instead of just rocket, rocket, rocket. So that's a good thing.
Was there a wide receiver that kind of opened your eyes and said, "Oh man, he's better," or "Oh man, this is a newcomer that's really going to be good"?
Jared Brown made a fantastic catch and made like 4 or 5 guys miss and broke some tackles. So it was very impressive. Now, granted, I was talking to a bunch of guys I hadn't seen in a while during the scrimmage, so I didn't see everything, but I thought the wide receivers made some great catches. I can't remember who it was, but somebody made a crazy diving catch across the middle on one of the plays for about 20 yards. That was just like, whoa. And that kind of caught my eye when it happened. I wasn't exactly paying attention, but, like I said, small sample size out there. Didn't get to see a whole lot. We'll see a little more these next couple of weeks. And then going into the fall camp. The fall camp, I like going out to the fall camp in that third week of fall camp and going out and watching those guys practice, and that's where you really can gauge, okay, all right, well, this is what we got. I think this offense is going to be much improved from last year, and I think the defense has a chance. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to be as good as last year's defense, but I think they have a chance to be a very solid group to help you win games.
It's hard to predict, anything close to that. You let them do that on their own. You don't throw that label on them. I'll be curious after the scrimmage next Friday night in the spring game to hopefully talk to Shane in the next couple of weeks following that. Maybe we can get him on and ask him, do you feel like you've got more answers this go around coming out of spring, or do you feel like you have more questions? Questions aren't always a bad thing. I think some people hear that as like, oh God, we don't have any players there. No, sometimes it means you got a bunch of them and you got a really difficult decision to make. But I also feel like, John, just using, navigating the source road, if you will, that I think that they think they've got some answers, more so than what they had at this point in time last year. Of course, they're not going to come out and just tell you that, and they shouldn't. You're going to want to continue to let this competition run its way into the middle of August. But just kind of reading through it a little bit, it just seems to me like they came in and okay, yeah, we like where we are here, and here, and then some of the other ones that are question marks, they're good question marks, not necessarily bad ones.
Yeah, I think you got to like your front four on defense. I think you got to like your corners. Those guys look good. I mean, DQ Smith, I thought he looked good. He intercepted a tip ball on the goal line. He looked good out there. I mean, I think all of our Kilgore, I mean, they all look good.
DQ's an interesting case study. This is his fourth year, and he'll have been starting for 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, guys who start for 4 years in the secondary in the SEC generally have all SEC tagged on them when they leave. He's a guy who probably should have a big year. Don't you think so?
I agree. I think this is his year to be the leader of this defense and to step up and make some big plays for us this year. So I'm super excited for DQ. So we'll continue to see how his offseason goes, but yeah, I'm super excited for DQ.
He's my guy. That's it. I took
That's
OD.
your guy this year?
Yeah, I took OD last year. Most people were like, this guy didn't know what he's talking about. They were all wrong. I was right. I'm taking DQ this year. Same thing's going to happen. DQ, you're my guy. Number one in your program, number one in your heart. That's my guy.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. I hope he has a big year.
I just made that decision right there, by the way.
Well, there you go. That's your lot for the year.
Yeah,
I'll give you my lot for the year. Last year, my lot was Joshua Simon,
and you were right.
To be true, he led the team in receiving yards. So I'll have mine come August. Right,
he's going to make some money.
Yes,
he is.
Yeah, he
got to make some money at the next level.
I know, John. Yeah. When we talk to you next week, we'll start recranking on this this draft stuff because it's not far away.
Yeah, right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Right around the corner.
All you guys are right, but I'm right too. I'm just telling y'all, it's going to be DQ. We're going with the hometown kid, number one in your program, number one in your heart. Just remember that.
You want to make another bold prediction before this show is over?
Do I want to?
Yeah. I mean, you're on a hot streak.
Well, I know that. Sometimes you got to be careful because your luck runs out.
You don't want to put all your chips in the middle of the table. All right, I'll throw it to both of you. Who's going to lead the team in receptions?
Oh, I'll go with Nick Harbor.
Okay.
I'm going to go Nick Harbor, maybe Jared Brown.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a believer in Nick Harbor.
Well, you could be a believer and still he might not lead the team in receptions.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe he leads the team in yards per catch.
Yeah.
Big play guy, but doesn't necessarily give you as many as some others.
Mm-hmm. Nah, I'll take Nick Harbor.
Okay.